Hello and welcome to Hessens County. I'm glad that you could join us today for a TTRPG Talk short. This video series looks at tabletop role-playing games and related materials in short form. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a game called Everspark. This is an all-ages friendly fantasy TTRPG that is currently being crowdfunded by Cezar Capacle. The intention behind this game is to allow people to get the feeling of playing the familiar fantasy games that shall remain unnamed without having to worry about complex rule structures, and also providing the many randomized resources that you can expect from a game written by Cezar. The rules are written in a way that allow for solo, group play with or without a game master or facilitator, and even parallel play. The game uses the familiar D20 with the usual critical success at 20 and critical failure at 1, but uses a range of success options in roughly 5-point steps in between them. So you'll have a success but, right? Or a success with consequence, and of course, basic failures and stuff like that. Exactly where the line between each of these levels of success or failure is dependent on the player or group's interpretation of the situation, such as the character's class or ancestral background or other aspects that are going on in the actual situation of play itself. However, one of the most fascinating parts for me is that Cezar has shared about his game at this stage is the application of sparks. This mechanic will be familiar to any of you who have played or read Cezar's Derelict Delvers, with its application of what I would call odds clocks. Instead of relying on dice of various values and tracking numbers like what we have in Derelict Delvers, the spark is instead visualized by gradually adding lines to your typical pentagram, which of course is a 5-pointed star drawn with 6 lines that connect together. The player or facilitator will draw a line on the pentagram whenever you successfully attempt to forward a medium or long-term task, or whenever some action in the story or dice rolls triggers something. Like, for example, a slowly reducing resource, or progress in defeating a group of enemies, or other things like that. Each time a line is added to the pentagram, the facilitator or player will roll a d6. If your roll is equal to or less than the number of lines drawn so far, then you have succeeded on the thing, or the thing that you were counting towards triggers. Odds clocks like this still make it likely that the event will happen within a certain amount of time, but introduces an element of randomness that is missing from your set, your 4, 6, or 8 chunk circular clocks that frequently are used in things like Power of the Apocalypse games. If you wanted to add to this, of course, you could create your own spark shapes, I guess, like a square for D4s or things like that, and still have a very similar concept for different odds of dice. But in many ways it's easy and simple just to keep it to D6, and you can very easily draw them out on post-it notes, index cards, or random scraps of paper with names written on them, so you can track multiple things at the same time and stuff like that. The crowdfunder campaign only runs for a couple more days as of the filming of this video, but it has already been fully backed, and Cezar is famous for basically putting all of his games out there, whether they get fully backed or not. As such, since there's only a couple of days left, I'm sure that you would be able to secure copies if you're seeing this video much later, whether that's through a print-on-demand platform, which Cezar typically uses, or of course his H page, which will be linked below, along with the link, of course, to the campaign itself. Should you be in time, or should it be open for basically late back orders? Thank you for joining us here on Hessens County for this look again at Everspark. Don't forget to rate your itch purchases, and have a good zone.